Hi, good to meet you, Lily.
Yeah, lovely to meet you too, Stuart. So, can you tell us a bit about what Pink Saltire is and the work that you do?
Yeah, of course. So Pink Saltire was established as a registered charity back in 2014, actually, and it came. I guess it was born from the need to have the experiences, the voices of LGBT people who don't live in cities, which is the majority of us, I feel, in Scotland. Um, at the table, so to speak, whatever table that is, where we all talk about our gay agenda all the time, that table. We're really keen that the experiences of people that don't live in, to be fair, don't live in Glasgow or Edinburgh, because that's where the majority of the funding, where the groups have been over the past few decades. We were really interested to make sure that those experiences were available. We wanted to promote the groups and the organisations that already worked in those communities as well, and so we decided to start an organisation which talked about our experiences. I grew up in Fife, grew up in Cowdenbeath, and I've moved to Dunfermline. But I also, through my life, moved to Glasgow. And it was just such a very different experience to be an out gay man there in Glasgow than it is here in Fife, and I'm talking to you from Dunfermline now. But it was such a different experience that I thought, this must be the case for other people much further out. I'm relatively central in Scotland, but for people much further out, I thought there must be similar experiences to mine. Why are we not talking about them? And how are their lives impacted by the discrimination and the challenges that we all face in our lives as LGBT people? So we wanted to try and do something about that. That was about getting those stories, getting those experiences of LGBT people in rural areas or suburban areas to the masses, start to talk about maybe some of the common threads and themes that we all face. And also, quite frankly, to start to shake the tree a little bit. Let's find some cash for these groups. Let's promote the work that they were already doing. And so the first couple of years was us really going out to explore. So we got some money to make some short videos to bring those stories to life, to go out into communities all over the country and talk about people who, aren't just a number on a bit of paper. They are marginalised and they're isolated in many areas. But we wanted to bring them to life somehow, to tell the stories of some of those individuals. So the first batch of projects is really focused around short films for us. So we had 4 or 5 short films released later on in 2016, and we worked with a number of different agencies all over the country, but specifically here in Fife, we had a number of participants whose experiences were similar, but in different ways, and there were different identities obviously attached to those experiences as well. And that really gave us that kind of light bulb moment that, people want to hear about some of these things. They want to be able to tell their stories as well, and their stories and their experiences are just as valid as people growing up in the city, or as they say in some of the islands, incomers to the community, because we're a rich, diverse, or we're supposed to be a diverse community, and I think the experiences of lots of those people are often drowned out by to be fair, white cis people usually. And I think it's important for all of us to be able to recognise, especially in the context of events recently in the world, and especially in America, that we all have a contribution to make, and we all should be respected, and certainly not face discrimination in the place that we choose to live. So we've progressed over the last few years into different projects. We decided quite early on that there has been a distinct lack of representation and public visibility for the community in Scotland for quite some time, and we wanted to try and do something about that. So in 2017, we teamed up with a few different organisations here in Fife to try and get our first Fife Pride off the ground. We decided that we were going to be out and proud and march down the high street in Kirkcaldy. We expected maybe about 250, 300 people, and about 3,000 people came out on that first event in 2017. It was a smashing day. It was a great success, and it's continued and grown since then. But we knew then that we were kind of onto something. There was a need, there was a desire for people to stand up and be seen and be counted, and for their voices to be heard, not just here in Fife or in Edinburgh or Glasgow, but many other places. So we've taken that model actually of going out and doing some community consultations to other places, and helped start lots of different prides now all over Scotland. So if we look at comparing 2016 to today, we had 4 different pride events in 2016 across Scotland. That was it. This year, pre-COVID, we had 27 different pride events planned in the country, all over the country as well. The first event was due this year up in Orkney. We had Hebridean Pride the last couple of years. We've had stuff down in the Borders. You know, there's excellent groups spread all over the country, and we just wanted to try and make those voices heard much better than they had been, much more effectively than they had been in the past. So, I mean, since the Pride work, we help chair the Scottish Pride Organisers Network, it's called. It's just an informal group of organisers getting together, sharing challenges, sharing funding ideas, and really learning from people like Edinburgh and Glasgow Prides who've been up and running for a time, and they'll admit themselves they've made their own mistakes, so we can learn from some of those as we go through as well. And in more recent times, we've been continuing to do more film work. We have done a few projects with young people in Dundee, in Fife and in Glasgow to help pass on those filmmaking skills to them to produce their own work, which has been really beneficial. So we're actually into the 2nd year of that project. And again, COVID has kind of pushed that off the rails a little bit, but we're adjusting to life in COVID, and we hope to roll that back out soon with, I guess, a digital version, an online version of that. But for us, the community work is really at the heart of what we want to do, and trying to promote new voices, tell new stories, and really share what happens outside of the Central Belt, because we're a mostly rural country. So that should actually be the majority of the stories and the experiences that are out there, but it hasn't been up to this point. So we're trying our very best to get out and about to help bring these different groups together and help promote their voices and their experiences, I guess.
That's great. And you kind of mentioned that the work that you were doing in terms of the organising of the prides and some of that community stuff has been impacted by COVID. So how have you really kind of adapted your work and that community focus to the current situation?
Yeah, so we organise a few different groups and services here in Fife. That's where we're based, but as I say, we do work all over Scotland. The organisations here, everything's had to stop face-to-face, obviously. That's all been cancelled. We took a few weeks out just to, I think we were all personally in a state of flux. How is this pandemic going to affect us? And since probably the middle of April, we restarted some of those services back online. So we have a group called Connections that meets in Cowdenbeath actually on a Tuesday night. So that's now moved online, and we have a great little Zoom chat with a couple of dozen people who join us every week from all over the region. So those types of services have had to adapt. We've had to change that. But what this crisis, unfortunately, has also shown us is that there's a whole series of people who we talked about and you knew of, people who were marginalised or were isolated or were on the fringes of society because of their economic circumstances. And this work has shown that the impact of a pandemic, of job losses, or companies going into a kind of furlough scheme means that there's hardly any money to go around. Those people are in severe crisis. And to be frank, they're clearly not all LGBT people. So we've had, actually, since we launched some of the relief efforts here in Fife, we've had lots of inquiries from straight people. And I actually embrace that. This service is obviously here for LGBT people, but there's so many have come through our books over the last couple of weeks saying, I didn't know anything about your services before. I love your work. I've learned a lot more about LGBT experiences and people. And they've been getting onto our website and digging into some of the work that we've done. So, it has an absolute tangible result of, helping them with the relief effort or the hardship that they're going through. But there's also a piece on education and allyship. And I think that's really important. We can't just expect allies to be formed at Pride for a couple of days where they buy a couple of drinks or they buy a rainbow flag or whatever. This has to be ongoing, continuous work. And this has provided, through tragic circumstances, a real opportunity for groups like ours to go out and talk to more people that we perhaps wouldn't have in the past.
I think also it really represents one of those core values of Pride, which is about solidarity and kind of solidarity between kind of different kind of marginalised groups or people experiencing kind of challenges, whether that's related to kind of being LGBTQ or whether that's related to kind of poverty or economic hardship. So I think that's a really important kind of underpinning value, it sounds like. So if people are watching, how could they go about supporting the work that you do?
So the work that we do just now has, as we briefly talked about there, it's completely changed. We still have that online work going, but to be quite honest with you, things are extremely difficult, not just for us as a charity, but for many other organisations. We have very few sources of income for core costs. So although there's a government scheme for resilience and building resilience in communities, it's still tough. You know, those funds are well oversubscribed. I think a £20 million scheme recently was oversubscribed by 3 or 4 times the amount. So there's a huge need for charities out there to raise money and to replace that loss of income. So for us, we had made financial decisions based on attending, for example, 20 odd prides this summer. That's all gone. So we've made a loss of approximately 20 grand. So we're trying to adapt how we work to be able to accommodate, you know, that loss of income, but also to react to the need that's out there in the communities. And the need continues to grow actually through this crisis. We have lots of funding applications into groups, but we also have our own, we've turned our own online shop to try and start getting donations. You can imagine the situation where we were planning to be attending 20 different prides. We used to go and sell, you know, merchandise. We used to go and sell rainbow flags and trans flags, you name it. We've got it in store somewhere. And then the opportunity to go to all those events just completely stops. So now we've got a storeroom full of stock, but with no place to take it. So our online store is that replacement, I guess. So people are able to come to our store. If they, shameless plug coming up, if they go to pinksaltire.com/store, they'll be able to get information on all the different products that we have, lots of rainbow flags. And you know, for us, it's great to have your support. If you can buy something off the website, that's fantastic. It also means that it's not going on into Amazon's profits. It's coming to a charity that can really do with that support, and they could really do with that help. So pinksaltire.com/store, that's where you can give for us. That would be very helpful and very much appreciated.
All the kind of links that you talked about and that information should be available in the chat if you're watching on the YouTube watch party, or it'll be in the kind of information, the captions underneath the chat. So thank you so much for talking. It's been really good and really great to hear about the work that Pink Saltire is doing. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day and rest of Pride Month as well.
Thank you very much, and happy Pride to all your watchers and listeners as well. And I look forward to reading this book. I can't wait for it to come out. Thank you very much. We're the next batch of care packs. We've definitely got one of your books for each of those care packs as well. So thank you for everything that you're doing as well.
No, thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Take care.